So here's a pretty thing. This saber is far more beautiful than I could properly have anticipated. It's festooned with details and little design nuances that just really kind of surprised me. So, yeah, right here we have the Ultrasabers Guardian. And I went with the nickel plating. And I had my doubts about the nickel plating for another $35. What do you get out of that? And what I found, first and foremost, with the nickel plating is it really adds a luster to the saber that I really didn't expect. And it's so consistent. There's nary a blemish, at least where the nickel plating is concerned. And it offers a tactile feel and a surface that's just, it's pleasant to hold, beautiful to the eye, and it's obviously well done. It's it's a quality application of the process, to be certain, and I don't get any impression whatsoever that this is going to wear away or cause me any kind of issues. Not like the finishes, this sort on other sabers. But let's get into the details here. One of the things that kind of surprised me was when you order the nickel plated finish, they talk about applying it to the shroud, and the shroud is essentially, as you can see, this piece is overlays kind of a core, and that constitutes the shroud. This part right here being the core, this being part of the core, and this is all shroud from here all the way to here. So they say, well, they apply the nickel plating to the shroud, but then I was properly surprised when they actually added the nickel plating to the cubes, and that's just awesome. Because they didn't add the nickel plating to this because that's not part of the shroud. I for some reason I didn't think they would add to this, but they did, and they didn't skimp. This is just as well applied as it is on the rest of the saber. And there's your pommel. Saber's plenty loud. Doesn't have side vents, it just vents out the back, but still plenty loud. And as you move down the hilt, you see little design cues. Oops, sorry. Like this little subtle cutaway here. Just a nice little design element. They could just as easily had this go straight across, but they did this. They didn't skimp. The cover tick wheel is actually cut to fit, which is nice. And then you get to the grip section, and there's a lot going on with the grip section that I really like. You get kind of the pure aluminum finish here that contrasts the, as you can see, it kind of contrasts the nickel plated finish, and it's anodized in black on the, I don't know, the grippy parts. But here's the thing I really like about the aluminum part here. For some reason, I'm not sure how they did this, but they have this subtle little detail, this line, this, you can't even really feel it. You can feel it just a little bit. This line, dead center on each of these grooves where the aluminum is. And it's just beautiful. And see the way the light plays off of it? That's just really nice. That's a nice little detail. This saber is kind of filled up with little details that Ultra Sabers didn't need to go that. I mean, they could easily have just had this be like a solid piece of aluminum throughout each one of these grip sections here without this line in the middle. It's just a design element that I really like. It's just very beautiful. One of the things that I also really like, this is probably one of my favorite detail elements. The shroud is kind of cut away, so it wraps around the switch. And the switch is also nickel plated. But it's not part of the shroud. This is like an actual, it's you order a silver or black switch when this came with a silver switch. This could easily have matched this, but it's nickel plated. So that's another surprise. I'm just actually noticing that right now. They didn't need to do that. They could easily have had that silver, but no, they went the extra distance and they nickel plated the switch. And of course, I went with a switch that isn't backlit. This is just your standard silver anti-vandal switch, but it works really well. And that's just a really nice touch. Saber's full of really nice touches. I mean, the whole thing's just basically a well, you didn't have to do that, but why did you do that? But then you did it, and you're so pleased. Anyway, so this is kind of one of your main choke points here. And this is so smooth and so comfortable. I don't really need to explain what you're seeing here, but it's really well designed. Obviously, this is all an homage to Obi-Wan's saber from episodes 1 and 2. I don't know which one. It could be episode 1, it could be episode 2, or both. I don't know. I haven't researched the difference between the two sabers. And, obviously this is much larger than the version used in the prop, but who cares? It's still gorgeous. This is an absolutely gorgeous saber. Now, this Greeblie here, I do have one issue with it that I'm trying to sort out with Ultrasabers, but if I can get to focus head, a little bit of a scuff on it, as you can see. This just can be unscrewed and removed. I'm trying to replace this, but Ultrasabers is kind of dragging their feet on it. I thought that they might possibly send me a replacement Greeblie. I had a kind of an extended conversation with Marlena, and I thought they might have sent it with my Empress, but they didn't. So I'm still working on getting a replacement for that. I don't know. What's the subtle thing? When you pay like a lot of money for a saber, you want it to be completely pristine. At least that's my take on it. But other than that, it's a very pretty Greeblie, and I like the red. And I haven't had too many issues with it coming loose. I like these little button screws, and you'll see why when I turn the saber on. Doesn't look like much right now. When you turn the saber on, you get a surprise. All right. You also have this wonderful little crystal Greeblie button thing. You can see it shining. Now, it doesn't get backlit or anything like that. And it tends to... it can come loose a little bit, but I keep it pretty tight. It doesn't retain anything. In fact, I think both of these just kind of... add a little bit of security to the shroud, but they don't really hold too much in place. They're just for design elements. The cutaways here. Here's another subtlety. Now this is a nice design element here, but not too surprising. But what to me is kind of surprising is this subtle little, the way they like notch this here and create this unusual little pattern, and that occurs on both of these sort of cutaway sections. Again, a really beautiful design element that they didn't have to do. They could have just rounded that off, but they didn't. They added that extra little detail, and you can kind of see here exactly how thick the shroud is. It's a very robust shroud. You can, you kind of interpret the thickness of the shroud. This thing is meant to be durable, meant to be dueled with. Now, if I'm not mistaken, when you order the Guardian, you can get this in kind of a button style like this, if I'm not mistaken. But I went with a kind of a thumb screw version. I just figured it'd be easier. I mean, this is the blade retention screw, so you can kind of, if you're so inclined, you can get in here and sort of finger tighten this. I of course, because this uses a hex wrench, yeah, I went in there and tightened it properly. Whenever you receive a saber from Ultrasabers, the blade is already installed, but it's usually a little bit on the loose side, so you have to get in there and secure it a little bit more, tighten it, and you usually have to tighten it up considerably. So here's the emitter. A lot of little concentric rings. It's a nice detail. Again, this is all very smooth. It's a little bit sharp on this edge right here. Not sharp, but you can feel it. You can hear that. And then another nice touch, you can kind of see the core of the hilt here underneath the shroud. The one thing that struck me, and this is my first, of this version, or this Obi-Wan's original saber from episodes 1 and 2, was how similar in certain ways this is to Qui-Gon Jinn's saber, with the core and these details in the grip section. It just, I can see how Obi-Wan made this saber his own, but then he followed some design cues from his Jedi Master, and there's a lot of thought that went into the design of this. And then, of course, you have the cube section, which alludes to later sabers that he owned. Well, not really. Now that I think about it, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So that's the hilt. And of course, I went with a 32-inch Ultra Edge mid-grade blade, as I usually do. My preferred blade for my Ultrasabers. And this has the Obsidian V4. Currently, I believe I keep it pretty much set to episode 1, so that's the font you're going to hear. And I went with Guardian Blue with Violet Amethyst Flash on Clash. Blue, here we go. Now, I believe I did a nighttime LED performance with this thing. So you can, if you want to see exactly how bright this is in dark situation, just look up that video, please. But it is plenty bright. Now, about those screws. They're not just screws, they're also windows. I properly nerded out. I geeked out. I lost my mind when I saw that. It's another one of those subtle touches that I really properly appreciated. It's so beautiful. So absolutely beautiful. I'm very happy with this saber. There we go. So you can hear how loud we are here. Let's set the camera down sort of. Nice and close. Alright. I'll show you the Flash on Clash in action. And the lockup. Subtle, yet very effective. And this saber is perfectly capable of single-handed or dual-handed wielding. It's balanced, it's comfortable, it's light, I could see this being just about anybody's favorite dueler. It is a big boy. It's probably I've seen comparisons between this and the Saber Forge version. It's considerably larger, but it works. So you see the backside here. I love this shroud. In my opinion, Ultrasabers really killed it with this one. They did such a good job. I'm so absolutely happy that I purchased this saber. And as far as Ultrasabers go, from now on out, if I decide to get myself any more hilts that potentially have the nickel plating as an option, I'm in. I'm going to get the nickel plating. It is worth every penny. $35 is not bad at all for what you get. And this is probably the only company that produces a saber where you can get nickel plating that I would actually go for, because they do a really good job. I like this so much that I'm considering possibly someday getting another consular. Because the consular that I have is not nickel plated, and it has the blade is Arctic blue, and it does have flash on clash. And I'm thinking I might want a more Qui-Gon Jinn accurate version of that particular hilt to go with this one. And I'll get nickel plated, Guardian or a consular green, as it should be, with whatever flash on clash I go with. But that's not for a while. I'm sort of taking a break from purchasing Ultrasabers. I do have a Bane coming, and I have an Archon 3.1 coming. I have a grab bag saber coming. If I'm lucky, maybe, possibly, I don't know. Maybe I'll win something from the spring raffle, although I highly doubt it, because I don't have that kind of luck, unfortunately. Whatever, it is what it is. But that's not the end of my Ultrasabers purchases, but I'm kind of taking a break and going with some other things that hopefully I'll receive soon, and you guys will get to see and benefit from. And there's the glory of the Guardian. This is just a beautiful saber through and through. And there you have it. That is my review of the Ultrasabers Guardian, and hope you enjoyed it. So I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's healthy and safe and relatively happy. And please subscribe and comments. I welcome comments. I try to answer comments. I don't always see them all, but I try. So please like or dislike, whatever the situation calls for. And you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will catch you next time. Take care now. Bye.